Thank you all for coming. I'm Dale Western with AT&T Developer Program. I work with Doug, if you were here in the prior session, part of the same organization. I'm here today to talk to you about our new API platform. It's a way to gain access to various APIs AT&T has available today and will be making available in the future. I can do this one of two ways. I have some PowerPoint slides I can go through to give you a general overview of the platform and what's going on. Or I can show you a demo, which might be a little more powerful and give you a better sense of exactly what's going on. Can I get a show of hands for how many people like to see a demo rather than a bunch of PowerPoint slides? Oh, good. Okay. Thank you. Okay, with that, I am going to cover a few PowerPoint slides here, but I'm going to blast through them just to get some nomenclature down. So the first, I'm just going to skip through some slides here real quick, folks. On this slide, I guess the biggest point off this slide is that it's all self-service. As you'll see here in a minute when I do the demo, you can just get a login, get an application key, hook up your services, and you're up and running in a sandbox mode in a matter of minutes. And then you can just, when you finish debugging your app, say, I want to promote it to production, get a production set of keys, and you're off and running, right? The next thing on this slide, you'll see the API Council. We've provided a ton of sample apps and documentation to help you get started quicker. We are actually going to make the materials available on GitHub and Gist, if you're familiar with that. So you'll be able to download and integrate there, comment. The services we're making available right now include the common things you'd expect from a carrier like SMS, MMS, location, device capabilities, WAP push. We've got a payment API. The thing that I want to point out here, two really key things to point out here is that we do real-time provision of shortcodes for you on the fly. So you can make your request for how many shortcodes you need, which we think is pretty unique, and a lot of people giving us good feedback on that. The other thing I want to do just for nomenclature here is to cover a couple of terms you'll hear me use. So right now, when you're using these APIs, we provide a server-centric model for accessing them. Right? So the application key and secret you're going to get that allows your application to make a connection into the AT&T network needs to authenticate and uses keys and secrets. If you've been doing things with Flickr or Facebook or Twitter or any of those, you're pretty familiar with these concepts. When your application calls into AT&T, we refer to that kind of an operation as a method. So if you're sending an SMS from your application, for example, or doing a location lookup. But there are a couple of APIs that we have where, in effect, your application is going to listen, right? So think of it as like setting up a web server. And we will, in effect, call the API you've hosted per our prescribed API. Some people might refer to that as push, right? A couple examples are MMS. So if you set up a shortcode for MMS and people are texting or sending your application server your shortcode like a piece of text and taking videos because maybe you're building an aggregated blogging site, right? So you might be able to forward messages when people are using your app to see like a blogging site where you're aggregating a bunch of feeds together. So you could use MMS to send messages so people can share the content that they see, but if they want to post, right, then they could author a piece of text, attach images, graphics, whatever to it, send it inbound to your shortcode. Your application, in that case, the message comes across the AT&T network, and we post it directly against your application. So then you can do whatever you do to update the feed, right? So in that case, you're actually listening, and you're going to have a callback. Other things we provide with the payment API, we provide a way for subscribers to ask for refunds, right? Because that happens out of band, we want to be able to notify you when subscribers have refunds. So if you're doing sort of like a multi-user game site or something and somebody unsubscribes for service, you're going to want to restrict their access to your game, right? And again, that out-of-band stuff happens with the callback. A couple other last-minute things, and we're going to jump right into the demo. So we provide sort of three means of access. We provide RESTful access, so again, HTTP request, get, put, to post. The URI depends on the particular thing you're attempting to do, sending SMSs, terminal lookups, etc. We also, to make it a little easier for folks, we also teamed up with ce-ml-cea. They make something called ce-ml Touch for iOS and Android devices. Their Android, or their ce-ml Touch is basically a toolkit of text entry widgets, canvas, button, things like that. We've built an SDK that you can drop on the server element here. You can drop on the server element, and what that does is it allows you to say hook to, if you wanted to quickly throw together, say, an SMS app, you can use ce-ml Touch, create a canvas, throw a text entry widget on there that's like the phone, throw another text entry widget on there that's the message, right? Throw a button, implement a callback that just says send SMS for the phone number, say, you know, text widget 1.value, drop it in there, text widget dot value, text widget 2.value, drop it in for the message, and it just magically happens for you. And what will happen is that when you init to this toolkit, it actually does all the heavy lifting. So you'll never have to do like an HTTP request or anything like that. I'm going over this because you're not going to see some of this in what I'm about to tell you, but I'm just trying to hit the highlights. We're also doing that for Microsoft, and again, those SDKs implement both as proxies for method calls, and they implement callbacks for servers. So if you wanted to like throw together the kind of little blog aggregator site that I described a couple of minutes ago with the ce-ml-cea SDK, to actually receive those MMS messages, all you gotta do is drop that thing on there, hook up, configure your shortcode, and you're good to go. They'll start piling up on your server, and then you just need to do whatever it is your application's gonna do. Lastly, for the REST APIs, we provide both a server model. So if you're familiar with OAuth, we support OAuth 2.0, and there's a type of OAuth called grant credential called client credential, which allows you to implement a server model. So again, with that, you could have a server that, you know, maybe sent out coupon codes or was like a voting app that just compiled stuff, so you can do that. We also provide end-user authentication, so if you use a OAuth grant type of authorized user, we'll take care of all the heavy lifting of gaining folks' credentials and authenticating who the user is. We provide that in 3 modes down here at the bottom, and I'm going to jump into the demo. So we do what's called an on-network flow. When you have a device, it's connected to our network. We know who the owner of that device is, so there's no need to ask them who they are. We just know that automatically. We do this for a lot of third-party storefronts, for like the Google storefront, for our own AT&T storefront, for HP storefront, for Nokia storefront. We do this on our own MediaNet sites today. So that's what we call the on-network flow. The only thing that happens there is consent. If you imagine when you're using location, we do require that that the consumer give your application the consent to actually have access to their location, right? So in this case, with on-network, the only thing the user sees the first time your app calls location is, hey, are you going to let, you know, Joe's news feed access your location so they can do relative news, right? They just say yes, and it's a done deal, right? We provide 2 other means. We provide a mobile PIN. They can type in their phone number and a PIN, pretty simple. A good example there is my wife has an iPad, right? She plays games. The game developer wants to be able to let my daughter use it too. My daughter happens to have an AT&T phone. So my daughter picks up my wife's iPad. Rather than doing the on-network flow, she has the option of putting in her phone number, getting a PIN. So the game can now take advantage of 2 different users using the same app on the same device, right? And lastly, we provide, you know, the ever popular username and password. My folks live out in rural Michigan, and believe it or not, they can't get cell phone coverage, but they have internet access. So out there, I built a simple little SMS app map so my mom can contact me, and she just logs in with the username and password, and it all works fine. That said, let's go ahead and jump into the demo, because you'll see all the rest of this. So, and my understanding is all these slides, so the links and everything, all be available to you folks at the end. If you're not familiar, the AT&T developer program, as Doug said, is at developer.att.com. I'm here at the home page now. I'm going to go really fast through here. The catalog of what we have available is right here. You can kind of see the various APIs, and again, as we continue, we have a portfolio. We announced it on Monday of about 130 different APIs that will be phased in over the next year or two. So stay tuned to this to see the new APIs we're adding. We're going to be taking some of the existing APIs and embellishing them. This is the place to look for that. The SDKs are right down here if you want to get access to those. You don't have to be logged in. You don't have to have an account to go look at what we have to offer. Once you do want to decide that this is for you, and I'm sorry, folks, I'm going to stop here for a minute just to move a little faster through here. You can log in. You can join. We have a little join thing right below there. You can join our developer program to gain access. Now, this particular developer is an individual that owns all of our sample apps. So you're going to see here in a moment, I can access the development environment here to gain, now that I've logged in, I can gain access to the development environment. We've partnered with a company called Apogee. They also power Netflix. They support Twitter. You'll see some common tools between what Twitter has to offer and what we do in terms of the API Council. Messages, if you're using our environment, we provide some message features here. So if there's an outage event or something, you'll see that with a little red flag or something that needs your action, and notifications there for things that we're aware of. As you can see, we provide analytics. The analytics are at the developer level. So this developer, as you can see, has many applications here. And so this is a rolled up view of analytics. It shows you how many requests. You see the requests are on the line. It shows latency. As you can see, our latency in aggregate, it seems to be pretty good. With that, I'm going to show you real quick just the process of if you wanted to set up an app, how you could do that in 5 minutes or less once you have access. So just click Set up a new application. You'll get a simple little form here. So I'm just going to create my little app name. Obviously, you'll want to make your app names meaningful because, like the location consent dialog, it's your application name's going to show up here. I can come down here and pick the services that I want to use. In this example, I'm just going to pick SMS. As I mentioned a moment ago with OAuth, we do provide a redirect there, or callback in this case. So I'm going to define that real quick. And I'm just going to do a little PHP handler for that. Click Setup. What I'll get back now is an actual application key and secret. We'll show you in a moment here how to go leverage some of our sample apps to quickly get an application up and running and become familiar. So I have my app key and secret, my app key, my secret. I'm trying to power through this. Usually I have like 45 minutes. I'm trying to get through this in 20. So shortcode, I get at least one shortcode because I signed up for SMS. I can ask for more shortcodes. Let's just say I was building something for a restaurant. I was a consultant. I could say that my customer wants me to take survey results for, is the dinner menu good? So I'm going to use that shortcode for dinner. I'm going to add another shortcode for lunch here in a moment. And they also want us to take feedback on service in general. So with these shortcodes, now I could implement a, like, dislike. People just using phone, standard SMS app, could actually send stuff to my application, which AT&T would deliver to your app. You could process that and then either provide the restaurant feedback directly, or even do a more social thing where people actually took the aggregate feedback and rolled that up and it was shareable in a mobile app if you wanted to do that. So now you can see I have my 3 shortcodes. I have the SMS service. If I wanted to get up and running, if I go to the documentation, you're going to see that the documentation we provide is very similar to what you'd find at a lot of other sites. We do support prior versions. So we went from having nothing and just a product relationship announcement last January to a beta in March, or an alpha in March, a beta in late summer, and a commercial announcement here in December. And for a company like AT&T, that was pretty amazing to get that done that fast. So if I click on SMS, for example, here, I can see the different methods. So if I click on, say, sending an SMS, I'd find the URIs. We do actually offer multiple versions of some APIs. So you can see we have an AT&T version, and we support the GSMA1 API. So if you're doing cross-carrier work and you built something for Verizon and you wanted to just point it at our network, you could do that yourself. You wouldn't necessarily have to go through an aggregator to do that. Pretty much all the details are here for you. The thing I was going to show was sample applications. So all of our sample applications, we have sample applications for every API. We have one or more sample applications, so you'll get a little description because, as I showed a little earlier in the PowerPoint, you could have like a server-only app, or you could have an application that actually has a client agent. And so we've got, sort of with SMS, we've got both models. So there's a short description here. You can see that what we've provided, hopefully, is some of the more common languages. So because there is a server-side element in this, right? So we've provided Java, Ruby, PHP, VB, .NET, and C#. We've provided 2 versions of the application. So we provided links here so that you could just run it. You can view the source. Again, that'll be off of GIST, if you're not familiar with that. Just quick, so all of our sample code comes, with the criteria under which it was written. They all follow a pretty much similar pattern. You can see here that if I was going to go take this app and try to build my own instance of it, the one we're going to see here in a minute, all I'd have to do is drop my app key, my secret in here, hook up my short codes, and I'd have my own running copy of this app here. So I'm just going to go launch this. So it's a simple app, and I'm just going to test to Dale. Okay. So this is actually going to illustrate something else. We built this whole environment in such a manner that you don't have to have a simulator. You can actually use your own real production devices to do everything here. And so in this case, I don't know if you guys heard it, but it was dinging. I mean, it's that fast. And it's using real devices. So you could go and use your own personal devices. If you were trying to build something for tablets and mobile devices, you could just go to an AT&T store, pick up the devices you want, and you're off and running. There's really no barrier to getting things done here. With that said, the sample app that I showed you a moment ago, here's all the source code to it. And all I'd have to do is come back to the application I had. I'm going to go back to the My Apps page. Try to make sure I stay on time here. And give time for questions. So all I'd have to do here is just use my application key, my secret, hook up my shortcodes. I take those couple of values there that I have. Take those couple of values there I have. Take the sample code, just drop those in, drop it on. And again, these applications, you can put them anywhere, right? They don't have to go into our cloud. You could use, like for the Microsoft stuff, you could drop it in Azure. You could, if you are on Site 5, a pretty popular PHP site, just go drop this over there. If you're Rackspace, if you're a corporate enterprise, just go drop it on your own servers. There's no restrictions as to where you put this. We've tried to provide as many examples and things to help you get up and running as quickly as possible. Hopefully what you'll see is some best practices. So like in this particular case, we've implemented like how to go get a refresh token if you're familiar with OAuth. So there's some sample code right there to look at, how to get the original access token. Again, with SMS, we use a server model. So at this point, there isn't consent required. So you could send coupon codes to customers. So for example, if you ran a coffee store and people came into your coffee store and put down their phone number and said, yes, send me the quarterly coupon, you took that data, put it into a little customer database. You could quickly throw together an app that, every Monday morning sent out a coupon code. And then if you wanted to make that a little more relevant, it would be as easy as saying, I'm going to edit the app and I'm going to add terminal location because I want to find out where people are at, and maybe actually when they get near one of my stores, actually provide them more relevant. So I just clicked on terminal location, hit the submit. Well, that's coming up. Back up here. Okay. So you can now see that my application has SMS and terminal location associated with it. So with that, I could actually now go take a peek at the location application here we have. Click on documentation, click down here to location. I'm going to go click on the sample apps for that. I'm going to go click, because I'm a PHP guy, so I'm going to go click on the sample app for that. 206. And again, our sample apps don't necessarily illustrate every parameter setting, but we've tried to use the most popular so you can get a feel for them. So location is one of those where if you understand the notion of accuracy, required accuracy versus acceptable accuracy, and tolerance, you can play with different settings and see how responsive your app is, right? We made it pretty basic here. So with this, again, terminal location here, it does require that the application, that the consumer provides, excuse me. I can't type here. Have another little, one of those eye devices. I'm going to go ahead and type my PIN in here. One of the things hopefully you saw with that was that even that MISDN and PIN authentication mode that we just saw was very fast. And again, it's our production network. You're seeing, you're taking advantage of it. So let's see, what did I do here? Try that again. Come on, please. Just my luck, it's going to be one of those demo things. Sorry, folks. What you should have seen there is a Google map with a little push pin. It showed we were in San Diego. I know we're doing some minor patches at the moment, so we might have gotten tripped up by that. I apologize. So now I could have actually looked at the location code, mashed those two together, so now I've combined the SMS and location code together, created an app now that maybe is sending out messages relative to the individual's location. With that, I now would want to maybe do some more testing. One of the things that we have is we have set a number of thresholds on the sandbox key. So if you want to use JUnit or any other testing framework to automate your testing, you don't have to worry about hammering the devices or the rate plans. We take care of that. There's some throttling that will keep you from, if your code goes into some infinite loop or something, you won't hammer our network. It's safe. You can go ahead and do that. And once you've done that, you've got user acceptance. You can just say request access to production. And what we do is you might want to, following best practices, you might want to keep a copy of your app associated with the sandbox keys for troubleshooting production problems, right? And so in this case, I'm going to go ahead and change my OAuth because I'm going to install my code, my working code now on a separate server or maybe on just a different instance, which is what I'll let all my production users have access to. So in this situation, I'm able to actually have a version of my system that my customers are using. I also have a sandbox there that's available for me for troubleshooting and things. And as you can see, I now have my production key and secret. I'd go back through, request the additional shortcodes. So you'd have a set of shortcodes for your production and a set of shortcodes for your test app, right, or your debugging sandbox app. and you're ready to go. There's no hurdles to run through, no complicated actions. You're pretty much up and running. And with that, once you are up and running, I'll go back here and use one of these other applications to give you a sense of the analytics we provide. And again, this tool set here is something we're going to continue to enhance and provide new features in addition to new APIs and making some of the existing APIs richer. So with that, I'm going to go ahead real quickly and just show one of our, a lot of people seem to use the Java SMS app, so I'm going to drill into that one here. Give you a sense of analytics that we provide. So in this case, I can see usage, so I can see how many requests there are. I can change the time frame. I'm going to drill into this one here. When I click through, I can now see exactly which methods. So with SMS, you can send SMS messages, the green line. There's a delivery status. So with SMS, when you send a message from a device or from your application to a device, it first gets delivered to our network. If the person has their device off, so let's say you're sending it like a coupon code, they have the device off, you would actually get a status that says, hey, it got delivered to the network, but it's not delivered to device yet, right? So you can get a sense of the assured delivery. And then, of course, you can receive SMS messages, right, like the voting app we were talking about a moment ago. So this lets you see that. We provide usage information for you. We provide error rates, broken down by the same thing. And we provide response times for you. So you can see, this is one thing we're pretty happy about. If you look at the response times, it's pretty much all sub-second response time for your app. So we think you're going to find pretty good performance. And with that, I think I pretty much covered anything. I got a few minutes left. If anybody has questions, I'd be more than happy to take any questions you have. Can the phone number that you're targeting with your app, does it have to be an AT&T app, or can it be like a Verizon? At this time, it does need to be an AT&T customer that you're targeting, right? We do support, like for SMS, we support GSMA, so it'd be easy for your app to just toggle between the two. With device capabilities, you can figure out if the phone number is a Verizon customer or an AT&T customer, right? So you can do things like that. When I talked about enhancing the services down the road, we do know that people want like cross-carrier short codes, right? Pretty common need. Premium short codes to do things like American Idol, right? So when you vote, you get an extra 50 cents for your app. There's monetization, those kinds of things. So you'll see those kinds of enhancements coming to the APIs throughout. I would definitely suggest for those kinds of requests, please do go to developer.att.com. There's a contact there for marketing. Please send our marketing folks, because there's a lot of decisions to be made about, do you build out the platform, do you add new APIs, do you enhance the existing ones, and our team is really responsive to what you folks in the development community want, right? Because there's lots we can be doing, but we want to make sure we're doing the right things for you folks. The only fee associated with it right now is when you, I didn't show that a little earlier, at the developer program site, if I sign out, there's a join button there. Just like all your other popular things, there's like a $99 join the developer program fee. That's it. Okay? Anybody have any other questions? Okay, well, I want to say thank you all very much for coming. Sorry for the rush together. Appreciate it. I have business cards and things if you want to come and talk to me on the side afterwards. I'll be more than happy to hang out.